Introduction, the Unfiltered MBA Experience.
I just want to take the next 30 to 45 minutes to dive deep into the real MBA experience. Because one thing that I realized is that, many of you here, the way I sold the MBA to you might not exactly be what you came here to see, right?
You know, the full breakdown.
Yeah, but you see, when people see Chidima, for example, her village people now will be looking at her Instagram and they see her posting those lovely things, flying around, having a good time. And I think that that's what the MBA is all about, right?
Definitely.
So let's start from there. Like, what did you think the MBA was all about, and what was that light bulb moment for you, the aha moment? MBA coming.
I mean, I can start.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because I had my shock came in on the first couple of days. I learned about an MBA from my cousin who's an entrepreneur, and he went to Stanford. And Stanford MBA is very known for like his entrepreneurship program and entrepreneurs that they bring out each year. And I thought that just MBA in general was all about entrepreneurship. Had no foresight about recruiting, all that kind of thing. I knew that people recruited, like, pivoted into different industries, all that. Then coming to Fuqua, I realized that that was not, the general consensus. Not even, like say, it was maybe like only like a 5% of people wanted to talk about entrepreneurship. Everybody want to talk about, going to consulting, I'm doing investment banking, I'm going to marketing. That's what it was like. Anything entrepreneurship was like, was it nice to hear, but never anything we were going to go to. So coming, I was like, oh wow, am I the odd one out of everybody? And and I also fell into like, that crowd, just going with the crowd. And, okay, I said, okay, let me find what I recruit for now. Since people smarter than me are recruiting, I would like now say it's now me that wants to be entrepreneur. It just went with the vibe, and I don't think that was. I don't think it gave. I don't think it was the right decision. I'll say glad I did that.
So you agree that, maybe the MBA can be better prepared
Yes,
if you had better knowledge about what the MBA was all about? Would you have prepared differently?
100%. You have had a better understanding of where you want to go, what you want to do, and even now that I'm leaving, plan for contingency, because that's a huge thing about people think an MBA is a short banker. That's I come and do an MBA, going to consulting, I'm going to marketing, I'm going to investment banking. But life happens, so understanding that, yeah, an MBA is a great opportunity for, upward trajectory, like, career growth, but contingency has to be in place in case things don't go as well.
Outside of contingency, what have you done if you had on some?
What I've done differently. Let's see. What I have done differently. I think I would have done more research on different career paths and looked into them more like extensive, not just like surface level. Like you look at, one thing you look at is like you look at consulting, you look at the company name, they look at salary, and that's it. You're like, okay, I want to be a consultant. BCG is nice on my resume, and the salary is maybe upwards of 200K total compensation. Like, okay, this is all I need to know. And people now go out after those things, and you see, like, not everybody gets it, because that's the truth was that they were not even meant to. They don't understand what it takes to be a consultant or an investment banker, and they don't succeed in that career.
That resonates with me actually. Even for me, obviously I think like a couple of years. But I remember coming in, and what I wanted to do was finance, and that's because my sister, wasn't finance at the time. Okay, you came to people I did finance, and come on, the finance too. Then I came in, I was like, okay, finance is not. I don't have a group for this, And that was the second year at the time. He did and he was like, guy, what do you do for Nigeria? And I told him what the things I've been doing. Like, now product management, why just not do that? I like, we don't call it product. I was just doing stuff. I didn't have a title for it. I didn't even know what I was doing. least photo management. And we looked at my resume together and was like, no, yeah, I just do photo management. And that was the way that I got into me actively pursuing that. I didn't have an understanding of what photo management was. I was just doing tech in Nigeria, right? So I think I kind of agree with you that, coming in or coming into the MBA program, you need to understand the kind of opportunities that are possible.
Yeah.
A lot of us are very fixated with, oh, this is what someone did, or this is what I think is cool, and we just go that route. Is it the best thing for us? I don't think so. I think we need to have the time to do more research, understand our passion.
The next thing I think I resonate with everything you said. The only difference with me was that I was an entrepreneur before business school, so I was ready for every and anything, and I wasn't going to exactly move to 9 to 5. So I was still navigating the MBA experience, looking at the MBA, and looking for gaps that I can fill from entrepreneur's perspective, which is one of the things that brought us here today. Right? Some of the things that the people after you are looking to see are some of those sorts of info that they can't find online. So I want to dig under the sheets for them today and help them understand, right? So after you got the F1 visa that you fought for so much, how many times do you see that visa every day when you got here? Where is your passport?
I mean, until you get a different form of ID, you're going to be seeing a passport a lot. Yeah, so most places you go to open a bank account, to get a state ID, they ask for that and they ask for your what's that thing, I-20
Yeah.
as well. So until you get a different form of ID, you're definitely going to see your passport.
Yes, but seeing your passport is like you need the passport to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Well, getting your visa like from Nigeria, I was literally waking up every morning to check if my F1 visa was in my passport. Like I'll wake up and like, is this visa here? And I literally was driving around. There was a time I had to keep my passport under my foot. My F1 visa. I stopped going out at night.
Wow.
I stopped parties. I stopped going out. No,
Was that for spiritual alignment?
not spiritual. I don't want to hear that.
Interestingly, I got my call for people that I got into people. We're having our company end of year retreats, right? And I remember keeping myself in that couch for at least 24 hours. I didn't go anywhere because I knew that 2 hours after, I now drive some boys that say maybe jam for something. Then you now say, and they just call and we just enter people.
So, imagine 2 months not going out and just this one night. I said, let me just see outside. 12 midnight. I was like, I'm going back home. Only for me to be pulled over by crazy policemen. I've never had any reason to have that, but guess what? That day, the man raised his gun. I said, God, I must.
I think you usually wanted to sit.
Yeah.
That's your name.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to, yes, I wanted to just chime in that, and I don't know. So when I got my mom told me to bring it to our house. And then
Oh man, so it's so funny that we have that kind of saying. Yeah. The village strong.
But something this conversation will bring to people that are watching this is to see that, the visa was a symbol of the achievements that you wanted to get to, but it wasn't the real achievement. But let me ask about your experience getting into DAR or RGU, Chapel Hill. What was the first 3 days like? Did you sleep on the floor?
okay, so interestingly, I actually slept on the floor, but then
Classroom experiences and learning outcomes.
was because I didn't have my accommodation sorted out. So I had a second year student that was gracious enough to to loan me a room in an apartment. So yeah, I stayed there for like a few days. So my first 3 days, everything. But yeah, it was actually also cool because she was super nice and she gave me breakfast and treated me like I was in a hotel. So that was fun. And I came in like the day before we had to start orientation, so I didn't have time to explore maybe like some other people. So I got in and then I had to like resume the next day. And because I know there was things like jet lag and all of that also happening with the change of what do you call it, time zones as well. So there was a lot of I had to acclimatize really quickly to them or to the environment. But I feel like it was pretty easy because of the help that I had. Adiola and Astisha, shout out to you. Well, thank you for that.
Well, so you see that the journey to the MBA is never like personal. People, my first set of groceries was also sent to me by no other than this gentleman right here. He sent me a box of interesting groceries, Gary, kuli kuli.
Wow.
He tries to act like he doesn't like send me for. Like, yeah.
Show me my box.
And the classes, when you started class, talk to me about that. It's how did that change your mind? Is it beginning to stretch your mind in the direction that you think you need it? Or do you think you already knew all these things and you just didn't have structure to them?
So after working for like 3 years locally, to people I'm coming to classes kind of like felt strange because I've been after the academic field for some time. Kind of like a struggle for me for the parents for one, trying to balance and how do I start reading okay, listen on like great I know. But now I think I'm doing better because I'm now used to the whole system of okay, doing my assignments. Um, I would say it has not been easy, but it was what is what is.
Well, and what would you say your favorite class has been so far?
I think my favorite class was operations and and leadership.
I love operations.
Yeah, my
I couldn't. It was too technical, man. I didn't.
no. So I had a really great professor, Kevin, who was actually also very nice and funny. So we actually enjoyed the class. I think we had nobody missed class for that class. So you see, you all the 70 of us all said, okay, yeah, this man. This one, he's different. This one, I'm not going to talk about him, but yeah, and leadership as well with Professor Lovelace. It was a very refreshing approach to leadership. So, those are my two favorite. Yeah.
If there was something you were going to say stood out for you so far in this whole MBA, that is worth your money and your time investment.
Yeah, many times we talk about the MBA program and its network, but I think that we don't really appreciate how strong that network can be and how strong it is. Like just sitting across this place now, I know the relationships that from people here, and not just people here. I believe that like long term, there's strong relationships that I can really leverage, not just because I want to leverage them, but just because like we already really care for each other. I don't know if it's a thing of Fuqua or this environment or every MBA school, but that's something that stands out for me. And I feel like it's it's what the 200K plus to me personally. That in those relationships, like when it comes to personal, like I have a son here with me now, and I can vouch and rely on these people to take care of him when I'm not around, when I'm busy in class. If I leave school, I can vouch for them. If I have a business trip, I need to go for a month. Stay with this person, stay with that person. That's on the personal side. Business side, when I want to form, like maybe I want to go out lunch and have my own venture. I can trust these people. I know their strengths. I know they're very good at managing people. They are very good with operations, for example. Like the environment has like helped me to forge that relationship that I feel like is worth 200K plus. Yes.
Expanding your network beyond people in your MBA program.
That's right. I was like pick one now you and sisters around the country, so you guys are kind of close. So have you guys intentionally expanded your network beyond the triangle, like outside of this, community and reach out to other folks, Africans, in other business schools.
Yeah, so thank on that. Thankfully, we have like African business conferences here. I know, like a couple of weeks back, a number of us went to Harvard, for example, and because we have like this, is it holes they call them in terms of like having someone in the community that can connect you to the rest of the community. Exactly. So I have a guy at Harvard. When I get there, he connects me to people that Harvard already. The next week or so, we'll be having another thing regarding to some of us will also go there. So that helps us to like also strengthen. Yeah, somehow at this level, it's kind of majorly around the African scene. Yeah. But it's difficult to do a lot more because we have a lot of things going on, So yes, it's kind of spreading beyond just this.
Yeah, it makes sense. You have to form affinity with things and it's essential to penetrate that. What I'm just trying to advocate for is just don't restrict yourself. Into this, try and for me, when I came in, I had the opportunity to. I don't know if they still do it. Jumpstart conference. Did they still do it?
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to go to Jumpstart conference. A lot of people that I know outside of the few call on the Chan, I met them there. And it was for me, and now I still have good relationship with a lot of them that, some once in a while, I might not talk to them in 1-2 years, we do talk, like, I have,
Tell me that one.
So yeah, just try to, expand yourself, so.
Yeah, so you kind of touched some of the things I wanted to ask next, right?
The importance of brand when choosing schools.
The question is, does it really matter? Is that a prerequisite for success?
I really love that question because it feels very personal. So when I wanted to go, funny enough, when I was writing my MBA essay, I wrote the company and the role I wanted to do, right? And I had it at the back of my mind, oh, this is the industry I wanted to. But when you're in, should I do ranking? Is it about the school? What should I do? Is it funding? Is it this? Is it that? And coming here, and when I got here, everybody was doing consulting. I was like, do consulting. I'm like, but you that pressure of wanting to do consulting. And so I was in a school that, they could recruit for consulting and then consulting for a while. And I went back to the industry I wanted to recruit for, which was tech. And I recruited and I got the exact role not the exact company I put on my MBA essay.
Yeah.
And interestingly, someone else that went to a much more low, she's also going to the same company. And so sometimes I feel like it depends on what you want. So if you want to recruit for consulting, recruit for banking, there are some certain schools that, that have strong hold there. You might want to go for them. But if you're recruiting for tech, recruiting for other things, just look for what pays you. Because, and this might be very controversial, right? I feel like the ROI, right, on getting an MBA, right? It's not as easy as it was back then. So there's not, it might take like very huge amount of loan. I'm like, oh, if I finish, I'll get this high job or this job and then start paying my loan. But even the people like before, they say people that have they don't used to recruit, they used to, and I don't know, they used to go and start businesses and all that. But now everybody recruiting for IB for consulting. I went to the business conference and everybody's recruiting. So the competition is stiffer. So you should know that, okay, if I was like me, I recruited for tech and thinking about it now, I should have gone to like people in I'm sorry if I'm naming substitute, it's like people in they're still going to the same deal with two all of us still got into the same company. So I mean it's just what is important to you, right? The industry you want, you should look at it. And honestly, nobody should be pressurized. Everybody will not do consulting, everybody will not do banking, just whatever you want to. Like believe in whatever you want to do, right?
So in essence, what I can tell is that at times it might not be the brand of the school that gets you there. It might be the preparation that you
Yes.
need to.
Yes.
So I agree with everything.
I purposely asked.
No, I agree with everything you've said, and there's no, false statement there. However, I think that there's a value in brand of a school that the journey that you took to be able to get that, and the luxury that you have to be able to be consulting and actually be able to create that into that might not be an easy journey for someone that goes to the lower ranks so that nobody knows, right? The salary that you command based on where you're coming from might not be the same thing that the other person will get. There's a lot of value, to grants like this. It doesn't come cheap. So you have to be able to understand that if I'm going this route to go to the top 10, top 15 school, there's a price factor. And that is the, value that comes from the alumni community that comes from the kind of exposure that you get, the kind of rich conversations you have in classroom. You can't trade them, right? You can't put this monetary value to those things, right? So I agree that anybody can get any job. As a matter of fact, there's some people that didn't go to business that's still getting the same job. So there's always an argument for that. But I just want to look at it holistically. The value is not based on the job that you get. It's based on the experiences that you get along. I didn't get the same experience in university. I'm not sure about that.
So if I follow up with what you said, if you had gone to the top school and maybe a friend of yours can't make it to the top school, the tips and everything that you've learned in your top school, he can leverage it from a regular school and also land these kind of jobs.
Students point, I agree with him because I can give you like a real life example. So prior to business school, I lived in Atlanta, right? My resume was the same. I worked in Atlanta, I worked in home care. My undergrad, I went to undergrad in Nigeria, I went to Falcon. So my resume, everything was the same, right? And I tried to apply for jobs in Atlanta, but like even on LinkedIn, reaching out to people on LinkedIn. But my traction was I didn't get anything. No traction. So you post I'm happy to announce that we're going to Fuqua Duke University.
All hell breaks loose.
Those recruiters are, oh my God, Praise, congratulations, we should connect. And literally you realize that even when you're recruiting, right? There's some people that McKinsey, BCG, they'll probably never touch your resume. Your resume is the same. The only thing you added was Duke Fuqua. And they're like, oh yeah, let's talk with him, let's talk with Brent, let's talk with that, let's talk with him. And that's it. So like going to a good grad school.
I want to let Tunde follow up. I think you wanted to say something.
No. Look.
Help me.
I feel like it's industry specific. Tell them.
I'm on your side. Let them finish talking. We'll break their back. Don't worry.
Like I said, this is not a
a honest bunch at the try.
Right, well, yes, right.
The pressure of MBA rankings and financial considerations.
We can all have right perspective, right? And like I said, I agree with everything you said. But to put this point, I can give a personal experience. Even as an experience, I was trying to switch roles a couple of years back, and I put on my resume out, and I applied to this, I don't want to mention his name, but I applied to this company, and the person that spoke to me was an executive director and actually managing director. The role I was applying for was an executive director, and they were like, "Oh, Finpa, you must be really smart." That's an option. Who tell you that smart?
we all got that in Durham, right? You're hanging out with other people in Durham, and you're going to UNC. You're going to
I say, and the guy also apparently I think is a UNC grad as well. I'm just funny that wasn't until well, we never spoke about the job that we're talking about. We're talking about experiences in Durham. So look, I understand what you're saying, but there are levels to this.
Let one or two more people say something before I bring the back. So you want to say something?
This is an experience. We supported somebody to get into one of the low-ranked schools last year, and he got into. I'm not going to mention the name of the school. He got into the school. A friend of mine that was targeting like really top schools and had a low-ranked school as his backup school, also got into the same school the guy got into, and they had this meetup, and the guy going to the top-ranked school, while considering what school he was setting for based on funding, saw this particular guy in that low-ranked school, and said he was not going to that school because of the kind of person or the kind of people that were going to that low-ranked school. Today, guess what? Two of them are going to Amazon. Right? Two of them are in Amazon. That guy that you look down on based on his background or where it's coming from and decided not to go with this school. Now two of you are going to be colleagues, reporting to the same level of
Earning the same pay, but you are paying higher loans.
pay. So, but I mean, I'm also going to come up.
I'm not generalizing, I'm talking specifically on that.
I reached out to somebody recently to have conversation around opportunities. They invited me to their office. It's top tech company here in Durham, Lenovo. I was there, spent my whole day there. They were just chatting with me, took me around. I mean, I don't think if I had got to a low rank school, they probably would give me that audience.
I'll just say this. What I want us to look at is data, right? Data. So if you look at how many people that go to those rounds, the proportionality of that get the same opportunity. I'm not saying that maybe one or two people will not get it. Let us look at proportion. If you come to FIPWA, Harvard, all these schools, UNC, in the class of 200, let's say 20% want to go to tech. You're almost certain that maybe 19 point something will get it.
Could it also be because everybody that wants to go to these companies still feel that they can only get it through top ranked schools, and that's why they're not going through the low ranked schools, and that's the reason why the numbers are higher on that?
No. So that's absolute proportionality. Yeah. So let's assume you have in Duke now you have 20 people applying for tech jobs, right? And 190 got it. Right? In whatever the ones, I don't want to mention it. In whatever the ones, 20 people that's applying, and maybe 5 best. If you look at the proportionality of that, it's way lower. That's what I'm saying. It's not the volume, it's the ratio.
Okay, so let me respond to that. I'm saying if we change the narrative and we made it clear that it's the amount of preparation, maybe I'm trying to ensure that I'm not biased here. That's why I'm trying to be balanced. Maybe the recruiters will think differently as well and be able to understand that, look, the type of talents I can get from these top schools, I can also get. Where I'm going to is how can we actually reduce the pressure on people who are trying to get into MBA schools and they're burning years and years trying to get into themselves.
Honestly, Daniel, I feel like I feel like the landscape is changing, right? That's what I'm emphasizing on that, right? I know a couple of people that are in different, like, so-called lower school. A lot of them, they've gotten into, and if you ask them their class size, one lady is in Philadelphia, one school in Philadelphia, and they've all recruited, they've all gotten somewhere. I know someone one of the she had gone to Microsoft, someone just like, so I feel like the landscape is changing for certain industries. And when it comes to like consulting, especially consulting, there are still some schools that you can't recruit from. But when it comes to like other industry, right? So tech, like some certain, they are not really particular about like the school. But I also agree that in the long run, we want to leverage, like, these are like going to top schools, the network you are building, they are great. From personal experience, right? And no shade to you, but like me being in class, right? And
Shit coming.
sorry, but haven't worked on like 6 years back. This being in class, aside from core finance, when I was coming like finance, that I didn't know finance, I didn't like finance, still know like every other thing, strategy, marketing, like I can count the things that are like extremely new to me. And I feel like for me, maybe it's called the FOMO too, because I have a business background, right? And I've basically done business development all through my career. So I feel like I need to have something that is in form of a degree to say that, okay, I know this thing. But in terms of like practicality, coming into the program, I've actually, so I don't know, maybe, and you guys can chime in. I don't know if like what we're learning in class is so amazingly different from what these other schools are learning.
Look, quick question. Do you think MBA is overrated?
At this point, no, I don't think it's overrated. I just think like right now there's a lot of big for MBA. Like people like you're a master of all. It's like there's just a beef. Like I don't think it's overrated.
And I'll say this: everything you learn in class a top MBA or a regular MBA program, it's actually all available on YouTube. And what the MBA program does is that they put structure around the knowledge and they personalize it. The professors come to class. I see the professors not exactly coming to teach anything very new. They come, put a topic up, ask their perspectives, you all respond, they form something from it and give it back to you. Right? For the school's brand, at times also, along with the knowledge, is what you take to the market to fight on. But let me do a deep dive here. There is pressure on our brothers and sisters in Africa. Someone had gotten into a school that is ranked maybe 72 and had decided to continue trying to get into a better school on this journey for about 4 or 5 years until you get into the top school. I really want to know, like, is it worth that? That's number one. I want to give you the perspective in full so that when you respond, so you know how we're trying to, jump on this from a leaf perspective. Even the so-called top schools, they're not cheap. And the cost of attending those schools is becoming or has become a major determinant for your visa approval. Now, a lot of people are thinking about it. Is it worth it going to top schools if I have to trade my financial, emotional, and mental well-being to get this visa? Because now your deficits are high. You're going to a top school, you can't get a visa. Those that are going to regular schools are getting their visas easily. So, what's that looking like in the near future for Africa? And the only way I think about this is as we move forward, those of us that have top MBAs and those brands attached with Lead 54 can those that go to regular MBAs with a Lead 54 affiliation also get the wow from recruiters when they reach out to recruiters, because maybe a recruiter now knows generally that, oh, Lead 54 is smart Africans, and the average one there has gone to a top school. Can those that go to regular schools now leverage on that brand and be able to also change the narratives? That's where I'm going with this argument, because with your top MBA, during his time, it used to be automatic. He got in 2015, 10 years ago. Congratulations. Years ago. When he got into Cuba, the visa was almost automatic, right? At the time I got in, things had changed. I had 2 rejections when I finally got in. It wasn't about the brand anymore. Now, the brand that is changing everything with the recruiters out here is not having that effect on the visa officers. This is the core of the problem, and we all need to look at that and find a way to solve that problem.
Pleasures.
I got. So let me know, like, for people who are better equipped, I don't.
Okay.
Navigating visa challenges.
So I'm going to speak from the perspective of a Ghanaian. It's actually quite the opposite. So if I had gone to the sum with a lower ranked school and I have full funding, they'll grow me more than me that I'm taking loans with Duke. It's always very different in Ghana. I don't know why. But then, yes, some people get in and then they come, but then it's always they ask you questions like, so if you are going to a lower rank school and you said you were going to study something like marketing management or something, they'll ask you a question like, isn't there like a marketing management course in Ghana? Like they'll already ask you that. But when I went for my exam, all she asked was, oh, so you've been to the US before. What did you do the other time? Like, you're going to do. Like, congratulations. And she gave me my exam. Like, that was it. But there was someone before me who had full funding, explained where he was going to stay, explained how he was going to, not taking any loans. Sorry, but I cannot give you a visa right now. Blah, blah, blah. And that was it. So it's very different in Ghana.
That's interesting.
It's interesting, and see, in every data set, thanks to Fuqua for teaching me these terminologies that I can use to structure my thoughts. In every data set, there will always be an outlier, right? The data is not exactly saying that. While there will be outliers, what the data is saying now is that the visa officers are focusing more on the deficits. Matter of fact, you might be approaching your interview wrongly if you go there thinking that that can have adverse effect on your interview. So I'm saying, how do we solve this problem? JJ, you wanted to say something?
So
Okay, so I think I have experience in
Your experience aligns with what we're talking about.
so I'll speak from both sides.
Yeah.
So my two visa, the first two visa I had was in Nigeria, and from what happened, I could deduce that the deficit was the major problem why I was rejected. Because I was looking at was I think my profile. Oh, okay. Going to the top school. Oh, you're working with international. So following what they said, I think maybe when you're also doing yourself, when you're applying for kind of like masters,
Yeah, those figures.
yeah. So there are nuances to all of this.
let's go one side.
Which brings me to the point. I think Nigeria is. No, and the reason I say Nigeria, and the problem in the sense that, because if you go to the visa offices, they're probably, the same, maybe maximum of 10 people that want to see all the applications every time. And they're seeing gigantic number of applications going to top school. Top school is not water in Nigeria. It's like pure water. Everybody, they have to give big scholarship. They are used to it. So you have to come with something different. In my year, I feel we're just 3 people that came from Nigeria. The year before, it was just 1 person. As I understand today, you guys are like battalion now, right? And before the page, 2014, it was just 1 person. I think it was what's his name? It was one TV where we didn't have a lot of representation. So now imagine a visa officer, you won't they see like 5 people go say out for. So for me, I think that is the problem.
Yes.
If we've commonized MBAs and top schools, so you have to come with something more.
I agree.
So, are we penalizing Nigeria for doing more and for preparing better and being better candidates over time that fit into these top MBA programs? Because if we're getting into the schools, that means we're doing something different. And when we say something different needs to happen, should people intentionally water down their aspirations because of the fact that a visa officer is saturated with the idea of top MBAs applying?
They can't give everybody.
I agree that. I agree.
So they have to have a mechanism to weed people out, right? So if the whole big scholarship, the whole big school is not a wow factor for them anymore. Like my year, very similar to yours, they just asked me 1 question. Say, oh, you're smart. Oh, yeah. And just gave me like 1 question. I
No, finish. I wanted to say Chidima should wait for you to
so the point is, they have to weed out people some type of way. If they have 20 people, 100 people come from the same type of profile, then what additional thing
have they used?
does it use to go?
So I'll say that, I've experienced the visa denial process like I was 19 times. I think people should be more strategic with the application process. So being strategic comes from your profile, your being intentional about the things you're doing before deciding to go to top business You can't wake up from not working or not having any experience and say start dreaming, no travel experience, nothing to no strong profile to taking a deficit of $150,000 to the visa officer in Nigeria that you've got to come to the US to study. So there are things I feel like you should be doing if you're considering a business school. Then the Japan mentality as well comes to play. If you have a Japan mentality, I think it also affects your entire process. I only applying to top business school because their friends are in Harvard. Their friends are flying around the world. They are seeing this make believe pictures on Instagram, or this is the only way out of Nigeria. So I think having a strong strategy as to why I'm going to business school. I have people that also had some huge deficits, but they got their visa once. Why? The Japan mentality is not there. When they're having the conversation, they're still about impact, they're bringing it back to Africa. It's coming out naturally. But people that, they've crammed people's what's it called? Transcript and say, oh, there's a so by the time you go to this officer has read transcript 10 times that day.
Yeah.
So you're coming and he's looking at your profile. One of my interviews, this officer said, your company cannot afford the American companies would not pay this deficit for you to go and get an MBA. So please go. We didn't even allow me to explain. So if you're coming to a topic,
It's tell me that one. Well, we have the bread.
We could afford it. We can afford it, right? So, and if you don't have that structure, then you want to start considering those schools that will give you full funding. You're having those like thought-provoking conversations in identifying yourself, identify the purpose of this trip or this
Let me let you speak first because we got to move the conversation forward.
Yeah, I just want to. Yeah, strategy is really important, but I just want to give my own experience and see what we make of that. Because really, I think this is what I also talk about the grace factor. Because we've seen instances where people have it all put together. Take me for example. When I came from school, I was an engineer. I worked with NEPA, then I worked with Coca-Cola, very big brand, multinational. Yeah, as an engineer, then I became an accountant. I worked with PwC. I worked with a company that was like a merger of Seplat and then the biggest company. Now, just into the brand name, PwC and Seplat, biggest company that merged. I worked with that. After that, I worked for Shell. I had a 100K scholarship. I had like 30K already in my account to support. So my debt was low. So when I went there, I wore native. I was bouncing. There's no reason why you can't. Everything is. I already 7 years before I did the MBA program. I moved to accounting because I wanted to do an MBA because I couldn't afford MBA, so let me do other things, So I had this strategy in my mind. Everything was planned. It was not for me. It was not a jackpot. It was. But when I got there, I still collect my.
So what month were you doing? I just want to just.
So is it that?
I want to know. I know.
I don't remember.
Something that the year you're talking about. I think it's the year we all tried, right? The year we all tried. That was the moment when dollar rate moved from 420 to 700.
And that's where I'm going as well.
So the dollar rate moved from 420. So all the people, most of the people that applied early got their visa because it was 420. And that period, that was when the economy of Nigeria was just.
I just want to.
So it affected most of them.
I get that, but I just want to say that for people out there that might not have maybe the track record, don't feel discouraged and say because I don't have the strategy, because I really want to jack back, I can't go on, right? Because I had everything, but
I have something. I think even me, in fact, at the time when I applied, I probably could have afforded my whole tuition, right? But I still collected it. We got to move the conversation forward. What I would say is, let us compare apples for apples, right? In every MBA program out here, you see the amount of. That means that the visa officers in their own country as well is seeing a lot of increase. So I don't think that it's fair to put conditions towards aspirations of Nigerians when it comes to the kind of schools they want to go to. I think maybe the government might have a bit to play here to ensure that the economy is stable. And when a Nigerian is going for an interview, you can plan and say that my plan is to pay X amount of this salary per year, because that's where the problem comes. Because there's currency volatility, there's a lot of uncertainty that makes the visa officer feel like, even if I want to give this, there is no plan for you to pay this thing back. I think we're not all returning. But that's another conversation for another day, because them thinking we're not all returning, that's not exactly true. Nobody wants to be here forever. Many people want to come out here and get something that takes them away from the stress of having to apply for visas. Many people still really have that dream of what they want to do as they put it in the MBA program. There are no jobs. And people are beginning to think that they are problem. Because in America now, the average person, you are working on your resume 40 hours in a week. You know, and I don't think that you are the problem. There are no jobs. Let's analyze this. Number one, the economy is not exactly job friendly. Two, some companies that are struggling economically are trying to protect their brand. So they're still doing the exact type of events that they do yearly so that you don't see that they're struggling. So they will still recruit, knowing that they're going to be hiring just about 10% of what they actually hire. There are some jobs that you see out there that companies are already trying to file for people internally. And by the requirement of the Department of Labor, you must prove that no American wants that job before they allow you file a green card for that person, right? So you end up finding out that they put those jobs out there tailored to a particular person. For example, you want a female that speaks the local language in Ghana, has an MBA, and is, 6 foot tall. It's going to be very hard for you to find anybody else that will fit into that. Now, even if anybody else fits into that, they will interview you, and obviously there is already, so that's stressing the market, right? And then by the time they're able to prove it, they get the labor certification and then they file for her. Meanwhile, other people are put for that job. Also, entrepreneurs are milking this situation. They're making you think that your resume is not good enough. And people are paying a lot. Maybe if I improve my resume a little bit more, I'll get it there. Coaches are cashing out. Some entrepreneurs are leveraging LinkedIn jobs, because when you post a job on LinkedIn, the people apply, automatically they follow your page. Except you're like me and you always look into the details and you unclick that thing before you submit the job, right? So that's helping them with a lot of followership. So a lot of people are making this thing and it's messing people's mental health up. So you're not exactly the problem. There are no jobs. But my question is, how do we move forward? How do we come together as a community to ensure that we reduce the pressure on other people? We've all talked about the top MBAs here and what they bring to the table. I also wish that we can put out our own MBA ranking from the perspective of an African. So that those that are coming can see truth and say, okay, this is the regular MBA ranking. Financial Times, no problem. But this is what our brothers are saying.
I think you should start at least 4 rank.
That's what we're getting there. To say this is what our brothers are saying, so that the schools that are actually standing up for Africans can get a return on their investments by getting more people applying to those programs. No jobs. How do we move forward?
Well,
Yeah, this is the last.
I'm going to for brainstorm and red for things and say that since we are all in top game, we actually have the opportunity to create um ourselves and for our brothers in the program. So if we come together based on the network we built, based on the community we built, we can actually build something that will benefit us all as a whole and not wait for these American companies to find us. We can find our own opportunities and create our brothers in the top area as well as the lower ranks was yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was totally. Yeah, I just was going to mention about our like we had a conversation yesterday. In VC meetup, and like we had the same like exact conversation about how programs should prioritize, even if they are not prioritizing, prioritize entrepreneurship, like encouraging MBAs, right, to go for that rather than because right now it feels like they are prioritizing get a job because of ranking, right? Because the number of people that get placement affects their ranking. But rather they should prioritize entrepreneurship because in the long run, right, thinking long term, those are the people that will be able to support students and definitely echo what this says. And I'm happy to actually like if we want to do something because at the end of the day we're here for ourselves. We need to we're community, we need to support ourselves and yeah. And again, just reflect what Daniel said that it's not it's not anybody's fault that you're not getting it through. But to be honest, who I'm it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just protect your mental health. You're amazing and you're going to get one soon.
To add to what Kabibi said, is every day for me to bring the idea for it. Not to
I do found this.
But yes, definitely as in, I think that like as I mentioned now what I'm saying, even with the top school, but before like a lot of people in Harvard, Stanford, these are like entrepreneurship oriented schools. All of us are recruiting for BCG base, everybody should access. So it's tough at start, right?
Even the federal government has cut a lot of jobs, and those ones have come to contest this
So
job.
like, and then you're just and this is just we looking at the Africans. They also look at the people that are non-African. All of your competitors, right? So I think that like I'm in line with like pushing entrepreneurship, even as we are even looking at like recruiting for industry, certain industries at 95. But right, what else can we do? Like dialogue, right? After and then like maybe what else can we do? How else like that's how to create like the wealth, the money all of us are looking for, right, is through like being able to do things and thinking outside box. And I feel like when smart people are gathered in area, that's when like ideas begin to form. That's the best place you can begin to grow ideas, right? Not when all of us have gone to industry, but like being able to like think as we are together, what can we do?
Yeah. So we can do all the African business conferences. What are the actionable steps afterwards? There's a lot of work, a lot of budget going into these conferences, right? But I think that Africans in Africa and also Africans in America need to know something. Setting up a business in America is nothing. Your uncle in your village that does not have a passport can set up a business in America. Someone wait for the Igbo men to find this out. They will register a company from Aba here and they will hire MBAs. Because now that there are no jobs, an MBA person will rather jump on a job where you are doing pro bono to keep you in status than not have anything at all. So why are we all just going ahead with the 9 to 5 and not just thinking, okay, let me set up a business? You might be able to hire your classmates or hire the guys that are coming afterwards. Go ahead.
As somebody who has been interested in entrepreneurship, who has obviously dabbled in the space the whole time I've been here, entrepreneurship, the idea of entrepreneurship is a lovely experience. Like when you look at entrepreneurship, the value you can create later on, extremely amazing. But you see the process of being an entrepreneur is what a lot of people do not learn. Like, you're an entrepreneur. I know how hard you work. I know how many times that you do something, doesn't go as planned, or you do something, you think, okay, maybe it's like, sure, you now see you just maybe cheating on somebody else. And like, that thing is not for everybody. Not everybody can condone that. Then when we're not talking, when, okay, maybe say you gotta raise money, you have this person's money, other people's money, they're breathing down your throat, like, oh, what are you doing? How are you? It's hard. It's not that easy. Like, as somebody, I would have loved, you know, if people were more entrepreneurial focused. But as somebody who has like been in that stage, I've worked with entrepreneurs, I've followed a lot of entrepreneurs. I think that like it's not always as painted as it should be. Very easy, like it's very sweet mouth when you say entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a founder, CEO founder.
Yeah.
It's sweet. So it's that process. There are people that will never do that. People, when you ask them, after like maybe say that build that company, that maybe sold it, they will tell you that if they knew what they would face, they would have done it. They will say no. They will say they were.
Let Yejide say what she wants to say, then you can get on. But depending on whatever side he's speaking from, he has a business. So.
I want to a couple of so one why people are now going into entrepreneurship. Like, remember the loan. So people are thinking about, oh, my loan, which business I want to start that way, I'm going to pay you get right. So that's one thing. The second thing I wanted to mention was that I believe that, like, and this might sound cliche, I believe that like when five people do something together, it's easier than when one person does it. Right. So it's hard for like if we leverage on because I've seen like I have friends. I attended a postgraduate business and a big company came out from that program. There were five fintech companies and they sold it. And like so like leveraging on I've seen it work when people smart people are together and they come up with an idea. Right? Being able to leverage our collective strengths to do something. I feel it's easier than when one person has to be. But yeah, I want to chime in that we should not forget the loan. So that's one reason that people
There's also risk.
That's a major reason.
Yes.
Remember that.
So let me quickly say that first things first, I understand that not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, but some people have it in their bloods.
Yeah.
And we're trying to encourage those people. There's some people right now, it's just the information that they need. In America, if you have information, you will, Yeah, but let's assume that you graduate. Let me give you a framework that works. Let's assume that you graduate and you have loans. First thing you need to know is that people support you if you are going to be an entrepreneur. They have a loan forgiveness program where you can get something towards the loans because they know that the loan is going to hold you back. There are also other programs out there. And if you have a good pitch, your rounds of whatever can help you sort those things out. That's good. Two, you can recruit and have your 9 to 5. Set up that business, put the jobs open to MBAs that are looking for work. Find a framework that works. Some people just want something to keep them legal. I will give you 5 hours of work to work. Use the remaining time to search for work, right? So that I keep you legal and you're doing something, right? That's number 2. Number 3, you can find someone that is looking to, I'm an entrepreneur. Some people like to run operations. I don't like the everyday thing. My mind works in an amazing way. As I'm sitting down here, like 20 ideas have dropped in my head. I can give you the operational strategy, the general strategy program. Do I want to run it? No. Right now, I'm looking for a way to advertise all of the businesses that I put together, and I've created a structure, looking for people that will run them. And I will say, listen, we can share the profit margin 40-60, 30-70, while I focus on my day job. Do you understand? So there's always a way around, right? While you are chasing your loans, this person is still in another stage. He's trying to stay legal. He's happy to stay in your company and be running things while your company keeps it legal, right? At the end of the day, we are all we have.
Yeah.
Those that are hiring you are hiring you because there's value they are bringing to them. The moment that value is not there anymore, they don't waste time. They let you know and you are gone.
Yeah, and there's this thing with PEI now as well that
So they
Yeah, so I
Need
need
to
to
be finalized, maybe end.
yeah, I know that we are all talking about entrepreneurship, which is fine. For people that are cut out for that, will let's do that. But I would say that for people that are not cut out for that, and in this time and market where there's nothing out there, I think one of the things that we should, especially people that are already in the industry like myself, is to try to help other folks as well. One of the things I've seen, not just in the African community, in the Black community, there's not enough agency, there's not enough mentorship. I think that's something that